Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kirkpatrick podcast. It is Vanessa, and I am so excited because today we are going to be talking all about the new Kirkpatrick model. So all month we've been talking about just what the Kirkpatrick model was or never meant to be, and just changes that needed to come along. And today we're really going to be tying up some of those like connecting some of those threads that we've been talking about, right? So the fact that we've been measuring more without understanding more, that we default to activity metrics, right? Because those are the ones that we can control. Treating evaluation as a post-training event, asking the wrong questions. And so now this is the moment where I am happy to share the Kirkpatrick model is getting a reintroduction. Now in my mind, as you all know, because you should know me, I'm now playing Jay-Z's Allow Me to Reintroduce Myself. My name is, okay. So we're not here to talk about defending it or how it's been reinvented. It's about it being reintroduced. Because what many people think is missing from the model was actually never meant to be ignored. So if you have not seen the new Kirkpatrick model, I recommend you heading over to our website, kirkpatrickpartners.com/Kirkpatrick-model. We'll make sure that the link to the page is in the show notes and all of that. But the model has been updated, but it is really there because I wanted to provide organizations with something that was better understood, that was really encompassing all of the challenges and all of the influences that influence whether or not performance can be enabled, that then results in results or impact. And look, I know that a lot of this misunderstanding on the model has happened because it's how we learned it, right? It's how it was passed down to us from previous folks in the organization, right? Or other instructional designers. You know, organizations wanted a model that could be teachable to other designers. Consultants wanted something that was repeatable, and leaders wanted something concrete and defensible. I get it. But what happened in that process is that the model became tied to just training events. Evaluation became this post hoc reporting metric activity, and the levels became steps instead of perspectives. What made the model scalable also made it smaller. And that framing worked until organizations became more complex, more interconnected, and more dependent on systems rather than isolated interventions. When Kirkpatrick is framed only as training evaluation, performance problems get attributed or misattributed to learning. And the performance environment disappears completely from the view. And leaders then receive data, but not guidance. What gets lost in everything that surrounds performance, right? The systems, the expectations, the incentives, leadership behaviors, and constraints that shape what people can actually do. The richness of the data is exactly what we lose. I want to be clear on this. The model didn't fail. The way we applied it stopped matching reality. When applied as intended, the Kirkpatrick model actually is a way to see performance, not just evaluate training. It helps uncover how effort translates or doesn't into behavior, right? So we did this intervention, and this was what the environment looked like, and this is what happened when people went back out on the job. It tells you how behavior shows up in different contexts. This intervention worked for this human because they had a supportive manager. This intervention did not work for this human because they needed additional coaching and support, and they were never able to receive it. It stops treating each one of us as exactly like the other, and it starts naming exactly what enables or inhibits success. It reveals how results emerge over time and not instantly. And then how the environment, expectations, and systems shape outcomes. That's why I explicitly added the performance environment to the model. So if you look at the new graphic, one of the circles around level 3 is all about the performance environment. This is about support. Do people have support from peers, from managers? Do they have the psychological safety to perform what it is that we're asking them to do? Do they have access to resources? Do they have the ability to apply those skills? Is the culture right in the organization? Do they have, if I didn't mention it, I can't think of it, psychological safety? Do they even have the drive or motivation for this? Performance does not live inside of a course or a one and done training event. It lives inside of a system. And then the levels, they also got elevated. We specifically moved out of thinking of the levels as a step in the process, but thinking of them as perspectives on performance, each one revealing a different signal. And even reframing some of the definitions to the levels to really think about not just training, but how can we apply this model broadly in the organization, but also know that when we're talking about an initiative or an event or a thing, we're talking about not just that thing, but also the environment, right? Or the support pieces that are needed. This doesn't make the model more complex. What it actually does is make the model more honest. And there's some other updates that we've made to the model and how we're talking about Kirkpatrick. So we had return on expectations, or ROE, as part of Kirkpatrick, right? And this is shifting the conversation from what's the ROI or what's the number to did we deliver on what leaders actually expected to change, right? Did we meet our stakeholders' expectations? Your expectations were ensured that they were set before the training, and then it aligned evaluation to decision-making and not justification. But now we're talking about pieces like return on performance, right? Which is actually what more of us want to know. Are people actually changing their behavior? It's actually looking at what value is created because the behavior has changed. It's not just a financial impact, right? But operational improvement, skills improvement, culture improvement. And one very big necessity came into the picture, thankfully to my amazing team that helped to think of this, particularly Dr. Amy Heatons, which you all have met throughout the podcast. But adding this piece of collaborative ROI and realizing that Performance outcomes are rarely produced by one function or one intervention alone. They emerge as a collaboration of learning, operations, leadership, systems. It's a whole team effort. We all play for the same team, right? And we can own a piece of what that means and what that looks like, right? Our piece of it, we contributed this piece to the overall impact, the overall return. And this is not a replacement for like an ROI. They're just refinements for how organizations actually work, human capital actually functions, right? This is actually real life context of how we should be evaluating and what actually matters. Because most organizations, they know they cannot calculate like a financial ROI. Most CFOs, they get it. They know it. We know this. But we can give them so much more information about other areas that they're getting a return on their investment. And that's really what matters the most. So I'm excited to fully share and say it, and I will say it a lot. Kirkpatrick is more than training evaluation. It's a framework for understanding whether performance is being enabled and where it's breaking down across the organization. This new model is not a new model. It's not a replacement. It's a return to intent with clear language for modern complexity. And we are putting our flag in the sand and saying we are out of the training evaluation space and we are into the enterprise performance intelligence space. We are here to impact the organization, not just learning and training. When you can use the model as performance insight, evaluation actually moves upstream, right? We can actually get somewhere. Your performance environment becomes visible. It's going to uncover cracks in your environment, in your organization. But once you uncover those cracks and you name them, you're actually able to make changes. One of the things that I know is a challenge for many of us, because we all talk about it, is our leaders are not asking great questions. They don't really know what they want. They don't have a clue. This helps leaders ask those better questions earlier. The learning or training function can stop carrying the blame for all of the systematic issues in an organization. Because you're actually going to be able to measure and name, here are the challenges we have in front of us in implementing this solution. And your conversations can shift from justification to improvement to alignment. There are changes to the model, but really the changes are all about how it's used. When we think of what the model can do in the future, and when I think about my vision for Kirkpatrick, it's about helping to fuel organizations, to help them be powered by Kirkpatrick, powered by evaluation, not scared of data, not scared of the truth, authenticity and transparency, because that's what people want. That's what, everyone, all of us want. It's less about fixating on levels, right? And like checking a box, but more focusing on performance patterns and conditions, because that is going to actually help to inform your insight to then hopefully earn you that seat at that table. And in the collective, this is the work that we're doing. We're focusing on those patterns. We're focusing on those conditions. When we're looking at evaluation plans, when we're looking at your case studies, we're talking about what about the environment made or break the initiative. And we're working on giving you greater confidence in leadership conversations. And so that you feel like you can go up to any leader and say, here is the data that I have. Here is the story that it's telling us. This is my recommendation of what we should do. Our folks that are part of the collective, and I hope you become part of that too, they're not trying to just do Kirkpatrick better. They're seeing the model now differently. So now they're doing their job and they're really doing performance better. And if you've ever felt constrained by how Kirkpatrick is usually described, this is your permission to let that go. Whatever preconceived notion you had about Kirkpatrick, leave it at the door. Come read the book. You can pre-order it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever you grab your books. Check out the Kirkpatrick Model page and have yourself a reintroduction. When we see it clearly, the Kirkpatrick Model becomes what it's always meant to be. A powerful lens for performance, not just a tool for reporting. And it's your secret weapon to becoming a more influential person in your organization. So friends, welcome to the new Kirkpatrick Model and the new era of Kirkpatrick. Talk soon. Bye.